What's the motherfucking deal? Welcome to the den. I'm your host, Ed Honcho. I hope you're having a wonderful time wherever you may be when you come across this video. But this story is probably, if you're looking for this story, you're probably not having so great of a time. You're probably looking for more information on what took place at the Mall of America just a few days ago. Make sure you tune in live every night at 10 p.m. We go live, we discuss the topics of the day, whatever's going on in the world at that time, and various other things we discuss. But let's kind of get into this story because I need to be updated with it myself, and I've kind of briefly heard about it. I don't have all the details surrounding the story, so let's just kind of talk about it, and we'll learn it together, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it. But I do know it's a disgusting story regardless of how you look at it. Suspect in Mall of America attack that hurt 5-year-old was twice ordered to stay away from the mall. So the 5-year-old landed on the first floor, was initially reported to not be breathing. So what I heard was it was about a third story. The guy threw him from like a third story, third floor in the Mall of America. I've never been to the Mall of America. I've heard of it, not super familiar with it. Never even been to Minnesota. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But I know a lot of people have been trying to turn this into some type of racially motivated story. And again, let's try to catch up on the details and see what's what. But again, I don't think it is that. I think anybody, regardless of if the races would have been reversed or if it was same rate, whatever it was, it's a disgusting act. It's a grown fucking man, and harming a child and a man who's in a place he shouldn't have been in the first place. That's the information I've gathered so far from what I heard about the story. But let's kind of get into it and let's see. Emmanuel Deshawn Aranda. That's interesting. Emmanuel Aranda doesn't necessarily sound like your typical black names. I wonder if there's some type of Hispanic heritage. And again, it's not about race. I'm just saying. Twin Cities man accused of throwing a child over a third floor railing at the Mall of America has a history of mental health problems and had twice been ordered to stay away from the mall, court records show. Previous cases, Aranda told the police he had some anger issues after being arrested for smashing computers at a Minneapolis public library. Goddamn. Like I said, we're not going to read every little detail. I'll post a link below so you can go back and check it out yourself. But we're just going to kind of breeze through the story and, we'll talk about it. Aranda, 24, too young to be acting this fucking foolish. Being held on suspicion of attempted homicide after he threw or pushed a 5-year-old boy from a third floor balcony at the mall Friday morning. What the fuck is going through your head to do some shit like that? I mean, it's fucking disgusting. You need to be, people like that, you gotta be removed from society. Aranda was arrested in the mall transit station after fleeing the scene. Boy was taken by ambulance to the mall, from the mall to the Children's Hospital. No further information was available Friday. Jeff Parrish, the Bloomington police chief, said there isn't any connection between the victim family and Aranda. Pod said he didn't know whether the victim's family was from Minnesota or elsewhere. Yeah, I think you'll hear a lot of people go there to visit, it's supposed to be a very popular Mall of America. So hopefully it's one of the best malls in America if it's got that name. Said at the time of Friday's attack, there was an active warrant for his arrest stemming from a 2017 assault case in Hennepin County. So yeah, he definitely has a lot of little incidents. So there's something thrown off about the guy, mentally ill. Aranda was issued a trespass notice ordering to stay away from the Mall of America. He ignored the order, and in October of that year was arrested after harassing and panhandling 2 women diners at a restaurant, throwing drinking glasses at diners according to a criminal. Yeah, this guy has some issues. He definitely has some issues. Because convicted of 5th degree. Damn, I didn't know that was how many goddamn degrees is it? Shit. Black belt, what the fuck is it? How many degrees of assault is there? Trespass and interfering with a police officer. 30 days in Hennepin County workhouse in order to get a mental health evaluation. What is that? A workhouse. I gotta look into that. So is that? I'm assuming that think like a jail, but maybe it's like a halfway house type deal. He was ordered a second time to stay away from the Mall of America. Obviously, he did not follow that. How do you enforce that though? How do you really enforce someone staying away from a mall, especially a popular mall like that, and you have so many people coming in and out? Don't be surprised if this mall, because I want to say at Yankee Stadium or a couple of these stadiums around the country, they have this face recognition technology. And don't be surprised if a lot more places start implementing, if it's cost effective, of course, to keep people from coming in. You're going to see a lot more of that where they take all this information, especially when you upload a lot of pictures and things like that to the internet. They take your face and they can instantly scan it. I mean, through AI or whatever else it is, this computer technology. Don't be surprised if a lot of that, if it hasn't already been, but a lot more that is going to start getting implemented because of this incident. So Tina Haley was walking with her husband and had just rounded the corner when she heard screams. So my God, pray for my son. She heard the boy's mother yell, screaming uncontrollably as she appeared to be in shock. Haley said she didn't know what to do. No one was helping her. Haley has a 4-year-old grandson, and said the screams and the sight of those working around the boy will haunt her. Won't forget, it was horrific. We'll kind of skip a little bit, and I want to talk about something. And I want you guys to think, because I try to put myself in people's shoes when I discuss certain things. And we'll look into some of his past charges here in a second. I see that, but let's talk about this. Let's talk about this incident. Let's talk about what happened. 3 floors, 3 stories, however you want to look at it. Can you imagine the horror, the terror that this family had to feel trying to get down to the boy? Now, what concerns me is how far away was the family from the boy when this took place? Like, how was he just able to push this kid or throw this kid? Now, if it was a throw, that means he had time to pick him up and, adjust him. So it means that the family was not nearby when this took place. That means there was a separation. There had to be a bit of distance. Now, look, hey, I'm all about, letting kids have a little bit of freedom to explore and things like that. But a child that young, you need to have in your sights. 5 years old, you need to have in your sights. So I don't understand how that distance got between them. I understand being in a mall or whatever else it may be, but obviously there was a solid range, a solid distance in between the family. And I don't know if it was the entire family, if it was just a mom and some kids or how that worked. But there had to be a solid range of separation between all of them, especially for him to, run off and get out of there. Because any able-bodied father who would have been there should have been able to catch his ass. And if not, then he go to joints and shit should start fucking working. There's no way. Like, I can't fathom. Like, I understand, the first instinct is to go and tend to your child, right? And so I know this is a tough situation. I'm saying what I would do, but who knows unless you're in that position. This is a fucked up situation, honestly. But I'm just thinking, I'm trying to figure out the backstory. Let's be reasonable here. And so there had to be a little bit of a decent amount of separation for this man to be able to get a hold of your child, to pick him up. And I'm sure 5 years old, not that heavy, but still to be able to pick him up and throw him, or if he was near the railing, to push him off. That means he would have to have been near the railing with the family not near him for this to happen. And so this is why I say you gotta look at all the details in some of these stories and what could have been done to prevent this from happening. Okay, no excuses. It shouldn't have fucking happened. We should feel like we should be able to go in public and not worry about somebody pushing us off the railing. But at the same time, you have to be aware of everybody in society isn't right. Again, it's crazier and crazier. I mean, we hear these stories. It gets crazier and crazier and crazier every fucking day. No, people ain't right. People are fucked up. So. Said child fell to the first floor. Several witnesses passed by trying to perform CPR on him. Initial accounts over emergency audio said the child wasn't breathing. Blue Line Light Rail service to the mall was suspended about 45 minutes as police responded. In the past 6 months, Aranda was charged half a dozen times with riding public transit without paying. So that's 6 months, 6 times. August 2015, smashed computers. We talked about that. Said Aranda told officers that he became angry after reading something on Facebook, smashed 5 computers. Yeah, this dude's cuckoo. He's cuckoo. And, it's unfortunate, but there's lots of these type of people walking amongst us in society, and you got to debate. You're like, do we need to put these people in a special place? Do we need to monitor people like this? Do we need extensive, checks for people like this? But then, you talk about freedom and you talk about these things, you don't expect shit like this to happen. But once a habitual situation is recognized, then we need to figure out what the fuck. There's something that has to be done about this shit. This is crazy, man. That it gradually builds up, and people are allowed to get away with this, it's going to gradually build up and get worse and worse if it's not checked and they're not showing any signs of remorse or rehabilitation. So this is terrible. But as we go down, I think I see something. A month later in September, Aranda was back at the Sumner, harassing a female library employee. According to police statement, the woman called police from the car in the library parking lot because Aranda had been bothering her, trying to ask for a date. Nah, pimp, you cuckoo. You ain't finna get no love. He admitted he was stalking a woman, knew where she lived. Goddamn. He had also admitted that he knew that he was breaking an order to stay away from the library for a year. Assigned to criminal mental health court. He was discharged from custody 6 months later and placed on probation. And also has a felony conviction for first-degree damage to property. Most recent court cases, Aranda gave his address as the Minneapolis shelter home for those recovering from drug and alcohol addiction, and that explains a lot. He gave his address as the Salvation Army Harbor Light Service Center in Minneapolis. And again, like I said, there's people like this in society, and drugs do this to you. So if you're a kid watching these kids, don't do drugs, but especially at K2, and if you've been around the den, the joke, the K12. But this is tough, like, not to make light of it, because the child is, possibly fighting for his life. I don't know what his current situation is. But I mean, like I say, it's terrible, man. It's really bad, So business in the area of the incidents were closed as police collected evidence. Possibly police looking at security video inside the mall to gather more information. But it's just a terrible fucking situation, honestly. Like, top to bottom, it's a bad deal. And we'll stay tuned. We'll try to follow this story and try to get some further updates. But like I say, this is not a race issue. This is a crazy person issue. And again, like I said, but you'll have people who need to stir the pot. They'll try to justify anything. They'll try to fire up whatever situation they can. Here in the den, look, I'm all about common sense. Let's be reasonable. I ain't leaning one way or the other. Give a fuck about what side you represent. I don't care about your racial preferences. I don't give a fuck about your political preferences. It's about reasonable awareness of what's going on. I mean, let's just think common sense. When I say, social commentary from a common sense perspective, and that's what this is about. So make sure you join us live 10 p.m. tonight, man. We'll be talking about this. We'll be talking about some other things. Shout out to Studio City for bringing this to light. Shout out to Ali for shooting me the article, and shout out to Tina Story for being a Patreon supporter. Shout out to the rest of the Den crew, you Den generates, you denizens, you Den folk, and everybody who's been supporting the Den for a while now. I thank all of you. And hey, if you want to become, one of the good friends of the Den, make sure you tune in live, man. I'm telling you, it's like no other channel on the internet or on the YouTube or anywhere, actually. It's a conversation that you can't have anywhere else. So feel free to call in. Tonight we'll have the line open. But with that being said, hey, I'm your host, Honcho. Thank you for watching the video. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all those good things. Y'all be cool like y'all be cool. I'll catch y'all next time. I'm out.